Hello and welcome to Rand class. Today I'm going to talk about vaccines. I'm going to try and look at both sides of the vaccine spectrum on the anti-vaxxers and the vaccine people. And I will try to talk a bit about the history of vaccines and one of the myths about it. So let's dive right in. So the myth I want to talk about is that vaccines can cause autism. And doing my real work, I know that it's not true. There's no way that vaccines can cause autism. Um, it's a 0% chance of that. Um, I work with people with autism every day, and it's not something you can get from a vaccine. It's something you're born with. You can learn how to adapt to it, but you can never get rid of it. It's not like influenza or something. It's something that sticks with you forever. You're born with it, and you will die with it. Then there's different degrees of it because autism has a lot of different diseases in it, and it's not that easy to teach or learn because you are behind, so to speak. You are years behind. You might even get stuck on a point where your mind is stuck at a certain age. So it can be hard to learn, but it's still a disease you can live with. And I know a lot of people have it. And you even know some as well, I'm sure, because it comes in many variations and severities. So you can be mild autism or heavy. And some of our great minds have had it. One of the best space scientists from Denmark was not able to put on his own clothes, but he was doing the math like a pro. So that's how it is. It has benefits and it has side effects, and that's life. So when I read a story about one of the leaders in anti-vaccination saying that her child got autism from the vaccines, I was very skeptic. And then a few years after, she came out and said, no, no, he doesn't have autism anymore. He got over it. And that's nothing you can do. It's not how it works. So, sorry, I have to say that it's the worst argument ever to not vaccinate your child. But that not saying that I don't understand where you're coming from, because it can be scary, because you can get a vaccine and your child can become sick as a side effect of the vaccine. And there is side effects to some vaccines. They are rare, very rare, but they are there. But isn't it better to make sure that a common disease doesn't affect your child than the chance of 1 in a million that your child get a side effect from a vaccine? I will say that every day that it's worth to take the vaccine, but that's my opinion. Now, when my parents grew up, they were all vaccinated for smallpox and polio, and it's almost eradicated. Polio is still a bit of in Africa somewhere, but it is close to being eradicated. And it's a massive work and a massive task. And I spoke to my parents and my grandparents, and they spoke of on how everyone in the country lined up outside doctors to get the vaccine because smallpox and polio were killing kids every day who wasn't vaccinated. So when the vaccines came out, people stood in line to get it all day just to get vaccinated because they wanted to eradicate it so that kids could grow up without the fear of dying of smallpox. And that's a noble goal. And that is basically the goal of vaccines. That is to eradicate a disease or to make the disease non-lethal for us so that we can live our life as long as we can instead of dying in childbirth or as young adults because of a disease that is preventable. I did some research for this, And it turns out that the anti-vax movement isn't that new as we believe. It actually occurred with the first vaccines in the 1850s, where people were concerned about this new marvel and how it worked. Um, and back then it wasn't that big as it is today, because today we have social media, we have the internet, we have a place where you can get your own feelings reinforced. You can be seen by someone who feel the same as you. And it's tempting to say that all anti-vaxxers are stupid. And that's not true. Some of them have high educations, and I know a few of them myself, and we often have discussions about this topic. But it's a hard discussion to take because it concerns our children's lives, and you will always be very protective for your children, and that's just nature. But it is funny to see a discussion, if a discussion can be had, because I have also talked to a lot of anti-vaxxers who have just yelled at me, who has called me a sheep for following the rest of the world. And even though I find evidence, facts, articles about the claims they have, stating that the claims they had are false, they won't open their eyes to see it. Just like they're telling me that I won't open my eyes up to their facts. And that might be true, but it's also true that their eyes are closed as well. And it's a point where we have to take a discussion somewhere where it's on a level where the discussion is made without all of us bickering, but it is made by someone who knows about vaccines, some level of scientists from both sides who can look up the science, look up the facts, look up the pros and cons, and make an announcement saying, this vaccine, everyone needs to take it. Right now, we have Corona. Corona is not that fun. A lot of people are dying out there, and it's heartbreaking. But the vaccine just got announced a few months ago, and now people are beginning to get it. And a lot of people I talk to are actually saying either they want it or they don't, because they say they don't know the long-term effect of a vaccine, because normally it takes 15, 10 years to make a vaccine because you have to look at the long-term consequences. But as I said, I'd rather take the vaccine and not die and then get a side effect 10 years from now. I don't know what the side effect could be. No one does. But it's better than being dead. And the most important thing to remember is they're just trying to protect the children like we are. But because of that, we have some diseases who we were sure were eradicated almost everywhere in the world who has come back, like mumps and measles. And those diseases are deadly to children, but they can also affect adults. And that's not good. You can become sterile from one of the diseases if you get it as an adult. So it's very important to keep that in mind when you're taking the choice away from a kid, because you're taking the choice on their behalf. That the choice you're taking for them can affect the rest of their life. And it is very important that you do research from both sides and from every point of view to make sure that you take the right decision. Because I I have to say I love science. I love the facts, and the facts just show me that this is safe, this is good. But I can also see the other side where they are like, but is it though? And that's the question you can do about everything, about cars, planes, trains, because everything is safe because it is designed to be safe, but everything can fail. But I have not seen any evidence yet of vaccines failing in the way they are described, giving autism or something like that. And that is why it is so frustrating at times to talk with people who keep saying that and they won't see the facts as they are. But that is not my decision to take, it's their child. All I'm saying is they are endangering the child, and people around the child who might not be able to get a vaccine because of health problems, because of them being in chemo or something like that. So don't just think about your own child, but all the children around you when you decide to vaccinate or not vaccinate. And think about that if you don't get the vaccination as a child, you might get a disease as an adult that can ruin the rest of your life because you didn't get the vaccination as a child. But vaccines is a hard topic, and it is not up to me to decide what's right for people. I can only state my opinion on it, and I can see the facts and the history about it, and that's it. But as long as social media is there to reinforce the beliefs in something that might not be true, as long as that happens, it will be near impossible to chip away on the growing anti-vaccination community. Even though we are in a global pandemic right now, with corona being all around, people are still saying they don't want vaccines for them or their children. And I just think it's crazy because we have proof that this disease is infecting thousands of people every day, killing thousands of people every day, just like the Spanish flu back in 1918, where it began to ravage through the trenches of World War One. And then after the war, all the soldiers who had it got home to their countries of origin and spread the disease. And it is looked upon now as corona because it showed how you can do it. They isolated people in houses. They made all these great efforts to stop the spread, and it worked. But then they were like, okay, we have almost no disease. Let's open up. Let's hold a grand parade. And then the second wave just hit like a freight train, and thousands got sick again. It's the same with Corona. Every time we open up, we can see everything just collapsing again. And I understand we can't just shut it all down. That's impossible. We have to produce stuff. We have to work. We have to earn money. We have to be able to feel like humans. But we also have obligation to ourselves and the rest around us to act like the people we are, to help each other, to take care of each other, and make sure that we don't die too early because of stupid decisions made by you or some other person. So I hope that this short view on vaccines from both sides can actually help a bit in your decision to maybe try and vaccinate or not vaccinate, or you can listen to this and go like, oh, that's some neat facts. That was a great idea. Maybe I can use this next time I'm talking to someone who is anti-vax or who wants to vaccinate. So you can get a good debate going. Because the only way we can come forward in this, if we allow ourselves to have debates, open debates where we don't immediately tell the other side that they are sheep, they are stupid, they are bullshitting us all. We have to do this in a right way because as soon as you tell someone that they are stupid, that they are sheep, that they are bullshitting everyone, they won't stand for it. They will just shut down and say, I don't care what you think, you're not right because of the way you're talking to me. You have to do it the right way when you talk about this. Well, that was all for today. Thank you for listening to Rank Class. Goodbye.